Okay, welcome to the very first episode with myself, Paul Rhodes, and Sean Sale. This is a show where we talk about the real-world impact of AI, automation, and software innovation in small businesses. So I'm Paul Rhodes, and I'm the founder of Green Gorilla Apps. Do you want to introduce yourself, Sean?
Yes, I will. And I'm Sean Sale, and I'm the founder of Just Applications. So we're two founders who live in the trenches of building and scaling technology. This isn't theory, it's the stuff we do with our teams, our clients, and businesses every single day.
Cool. And in each episode, we'll share tools we've tested, lessons we've learned, and ideas that we're currently exploring. Today's episode is all about how AI is changing the game for development teams, from code reviews to testing, support, and beyond.
That's right, Paul, and we'll talk through real examples, what's working, what's not, and how we're using tools like ChatGPT, CodeRabbit, Copilot, and Claude to work smarter.
Brilliant. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Quite excited. It's been a long time coming, hasn't it, Sean?
It has. It's been several meetings in the pub, hasn't it? As these things generally are.
The place for the best conversations.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
myself and Sean have known each other for probably, I reckon, it must be 10 years or so now. It's a long time. And we've both run software development companies alongside each other, both shared a lot of war stories along the way. And then we kind of had that conversation. We're like, do you know what we should do? We should share our current war stories and what we're living through at the moment. And hopefully for anyone who's listening, it provides a value and a bit of insight into what we're doing and also how we're reacting to certain things in the industry, because it's a massive change is underway and it's relentless and it's not going to stop, is it?
Absolutely. Every single month it's changing, isn't it? The world of
Yeah.
AI. So it was important. It's an important topic to kick off our podcast with. Excuse my voice, everyone. I'm coming off the back of COVID I've had for 2 weeks, Paul, and it's still taking its clutches on me, but I'm hoping I'll get through this okay.
Yeah, it's worth saying it's 2025 and you've
I
got
know,
COVID.
I know,
That's what's mad, isn't it?
I know. Because everyone you speak to keeps saying, "Oh, it's gone, hasn't it?" No, it hasn't.
Yeah. There's a lot of people I know who've really struggled with it, and it's just like lethargic as well, isn't it? And like you say, your voice and everything.
It is. It is. Well, we did 10K run last week, so I thought
Wow.
on the back of having COVID and being super poorly, I said to my wife, "We've got to do this 10K. We paid for it, and we did it." But obviously now the sort of like knock-on effects are that you're sort of you're sort of tired and it's just the voice. You're probably hear my voice. It's just a very husky voice at the moment, but I'll brave through. I'll brave through, and let's carry on with what we're supposed to be talking about, which is AI.
Well, it's good to have human stories, isn't it? No one wants to hear just about
No,
robotics.
that's true. That's true.
So yeah, I guess you've touched on the 10K and stuff. How's your week been in work?
Yeah, it's been busy. I mean, we're sort of looking. We're slightly different to you because we obviously do 3 applications that we sell as a software as a service. So Adlister, believe it or not, is 19 years old.
Wow.
So I know, wow. So we're just, well, we're not just. We've been doing it for the last 18 months, but we're moving towards version 2, and with that, comes all these new technologies that we can integrate, such as AI. So that's what we've been sort of building and sort of working on for the last 18 months. So yes, still doing that, as well as doing some custom projects as well. What about yourself?
We celebrated 13 years
Wow.
of GGA. Yeah, on I think it was last Sunday. So I say we celebrated. I took literally 30 seconds to go, oh, we've turned 13. That's about as big as the celebration was. But I was like, yeah, no, it was I think I was I just took stock basically. It was a Sunday and I went to the gym and then I sat in the garden and I was like, oh, it's going quite well. It's as scary as it always has been. But that was probably the highlight for us. And we're going to do something at the end of the year as a big team celebration when we can actually find a weekend that everyone can do. It's a
Yeah.
classic thing of trying to get everyone together. But yeah, that's been a highlight, definitely.
Any wins or challenges for yourself? Have you got any new projects coming in? Or?
Yeah, we've just landed a brand new customer, which was really cool for us. That's quite a large, big project, and something to I think we'll probably end up working together on. Sean is the
Okay.
reality of it. So that's really good. So that kicks off next week, but we got confirmation of the order just at the end of last week. So that was fantastic. But I think the biggest thing that happened to me last week was another existential crisis. I met a friend in a pub. There's a common theme occurring,
It,
isn't
it
there?
is. There is. Yeah.
And he basically showed me what he'd developed as a non-techie. I think it was in 40 hours and something ridiculous like $200 on a low code bit of software, and it was just phenomenal. And then he pulled me in to say, I'm going to buy you a beer, and then can you look over it from a like security, a scalability, all these sorts of things. And it was honestly it was flawless. And I was
Really,
like, I was my
because that's interesting. Because we had a conversation through my business partner, who he's
yeah,
seen a friend of his, and he's built this app in, like I say, some sort of AI code system, and it very low level, but it
yeah,
it kind of worked, but it was flawed in the fact that it wasn't very good at sort of any more small, almost small bits of functionality. It was quite good at, but it was so it's like probably a minimum viable product. It's quite
yeah. That's
useful
what a lot of
for,
them are. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. But then obviously when you've got to update things and sort of work with APIs and things like that, that's where it sort of looked or appeared to be not good at that sort of side of it. I think is what I'm
I
trying
think
to
that's
say.
exactly right, and I think that probably leads us quite well on to one of the things that we talked about at the very start when we were planning all this, which has been, like you said, in in the background for months. Is one thing that happened because this will lead nicely into it. So the CEO of Fiverr,
Yeah,
Misha Kaufman, he released on Twitter an email that he sent to like all 220,000 employees, and it was a bit of a wake up call, not just to the Fiverr employees, but I think also to the AI world and the software world, because it was basically along the lines of AI is coming for your job and it's coming for my job too, which is like a CEO
yeah,
saying that his job's under threat from AI. And I hate the word leveling up, but in summary, what I took from it was basically that the things that are easy today are gone. Like the AI just removes that AI and low code, no code. You can put a lot of it in together, and then the things that were obviously medium become the new easy. But therefore, what it means as well is that things were previously impossible become the new hard. And actually, everybody needs to level up to be working on the hard things because everything else will be immaterial, if that makes sense. It can be taken care of. And I think when we're talking about what you just touched on, that's where my brain went was you're exactly right. I think what I was astonished at with this low code, no code solution was how far it had come, like what it could actually do. But what you're talking about there is really like the medium stuff.
mm.
But
And
yeah,
what was
you're
the
exactly
what
right.
was the actual application
So
that you're
it
just
was,
demonstrating?
I mean, I've said this to my team and I don't mind kind of quoting stuff, but I said, it was basically a back end portal. So it's a
Yeah,
back end portal that had, I'd say, 12 to 15 different features that are all dynamic, all database driven, everything. So if you want a basic kind of membership portal, I reckon if you went to an agency to build it bespoke, you'd probably be getting quoted like 20 grand.
yeah,
And this thing was doing it incredibly well. And it had auto scaling and he didn't have to worry about upgrades. It was kind of like secure. So I was like, wow. So my opinion of low code, no code was back probably 2, 3 years ago, where it's very limited. You could do, like you say, a very limited MVP. What he presented, it just shows the development of the technology. So therefore, as a bespoke software development company like ourselves, we
yeah,
need to be ahead of it, working on the most complex problems of the day. Does that make sense? And that's what you described is, we're working on a project at the moment and we need to real time translate 14 languages in a chat to across a global corporate. That no code can't get anywhere near that right now. It could potentially have plugins and APIs, but it can't get there. So that's our niche now, is to
yeah,
find the complex problems that low code, no code can't solve, because what they bring is speed and cost ineffectiveness, if that makes sense. Like the fact he could do it for how quickly he did it and how cheaply he did it is insane. So then we need to level up our game, and that was trying to link in that Fiverr CEO thing is, as we'll talk about, it's the toolings that you use, it's how you use AI in your day to day as a productivity enhancer, and really everyone in a business today should be working on problems that the easy stuff is taken care of. Everyone should be leveling up their day to day role. Is the bottom line of it all. And I think that was just that. Yeah, that was my take on it. Is that's when my jaw hit the floor in a pub was when he showed me what he'd done, and I was like, my instant reaction was one of we are properly doomed. And then I was like, no, I need to go back and talk to the team, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because I always see that AI. Yes, it's the context I think it doesn't seem to have at the moment. So you can take a problem and it can solve it. For example, I saw this really cool article by, I think her name was Casey Hill, and she was using she was using Gemini, sorry, to find the best haircut for her face.
Yeah,
So she took a selfie of her face, and then obviously then it guesses using your profile the range of haircuts that you could have. So obviously it returns the pictures, and that's something that I think that's where it is good. But I'm just not sure with what you're saying how far the level it can go with. I want this project, and I want this membership system to be built,
yeah.
and it needs to do X, Y, and Z, and integrate with. And I'm not sure how far that goes.
But I
Um,
think the scary thing, if I put my real negative hat on it, which is probably what this podcast is about, but I think you just have to look at the rate of change, like the acceleration of it. So, like 2 years ago, I attended my first AI conference, and at that point, I'm way
yeah,
behind the curve. Do you know what I mean? I'm not an early adopter of AI. It's like okay, and I just think back to 2 years ago. No, it's probably 18 months ago. I went and I walked out of that room thinking, oh, I'm doomed, and what's going to happen to software because you can see the impending changes, and then the joke at the time was everybody was doing single shot prompting. Everybody was saying, write me a poem, and they get back a result, and I think it's the best thing since sliced bread. But then equally, the joke was they can't do hands. It's free finger, like this sort of thing. If you look at what it's creating today, and then you take the this stance that this is the worst it's going to be.
yeah,
Like every day it gets better. So the gap I see, the like Moore's law acceleration is wow. If it first went really public 2 years ago, and we've got to here with Gemini, Claude, chat and all the other spin-offs from it and all the different tools, you only have to think forward another 12 months. And those things that are today hard for it to do will become the new medium. That's the whole
yeah,
email from CEO Fiverr. So yeah, I think you're right. Today, it can't do probably a fully fledged what we'd class as a membership portal, backend systems, APIs, all these integrations. But I do see that as just a matter of time. And so then the job of the software company, the software developer, is to level up their game and become the programmers of the AI, if that makes sense. So in sense of um, you have to use it as a productivity tool, but equally, we've all got the battle scars and the war stories of doing it the hard way, the long way, like the going out for cigarette breaks that we've talked about
yeah,
previously,
yeah,
like the talking to your colleagues. Um, and it's just going to evolve where you need to be a thought leader and you need to be an expert in how to use the AI because you could give two different people the very same tool and get two very different outcomes.
yeah, yeah,
And so it's the teams need to upskill. And that's what the email's about. And like, we're not going to dive into reading it out, one, because my voice is awful, but two, we'll put a link in the show notes to the email on Twitter because it's everybody listening to this. If you haven't seen it, I mean, the internet did explode over it, but like, it's well worth spending a cup of coffee and 15 minutes reading it because it is phenomenal. And what he's saying today in 2025 seems to be doomsday scenario, but I bet you we read it in a year's time and it's kind of like almost become well that happened in 6 months, that's where
yeah,
my head's
yeah,
at.
yeah. So yeah, because typically I use it. I mean, my developers are using. I think we're using Copilot, and that's what they use. Obviously, for myself, because I'm not really coding day to day, I'm using it to assist with grammar improvements as we do for emails or researching. I think I mentioned to you that I've got a couple of customers that I manage their Google AdWords accounts.
Yeah,
So I'm identifying effective keyword strategies, and it works off a series of prompts. So I've got some prompt sheets which I can certainly share um, with alongside this podcast if people
yeah,
want to look at it, and it's good at that. So it's good at sort of working out the long tail keywords on a certain service or product, the negative keywords. But obviously, what it tends to struggle with is whether it should be an exact keyword, a phrase match keyword, or a broad match keyword. So it doesn't seem to have the human input there,
And
if
that's
you
what I
like.
mean. Is that's what they call prompt engineers now, isn't it? Really, it's like,
Yeah,
if everything's going towards, it's not a question of should I use AI. That horse has bolted.
yeah,
It's a question of how should I use it to the best of my ability to make me the most productive person I can. So what you've just nuanced there is that actually you've got a whole experience of what to ask it. So yes, it comes back and it's not perfect first time, but it probably helps you get off the mark a lot quicker than like writer's block and blank page syndrome and sat in front of nothing. And then even in its first draft, you have the experience and the technology and the tools to then go, okay, now we need to refine it. And I think we'll become a lot more editorial in our process. And what will
yeah,
happen is those people that don't know the specific um, subject matter, it doesn't matter what it is, will just take the first draft as a that's fact and it's incorrect and it's not
yeah.
based on anything. And AI will never tell you, I don't know. We were driving to Alton Towers the other day, and I was very lucky. My wife was driving, and I was reading a book, and I said to her literally like, 10 years ago, when I read a book cover to cover, business book, I like literally read a paragraph, think about it, make notes. So it used to go into like a little journal, or I used to highlight the book. And then probably 5 years ago, I go to my iPhone notes and I start to write up like these are the things I want to act upon and implement. Drove to Alton Towers, and I was literally sat next to her with I'm using Sintra at the moment, so I was using Sintra as like a little AI employee, and I was like, I'm reading this book by this author, and it spits out everything it knows, and I'm like, I'm not interested in that. I want to go through the process of reading the book and understanding it myself, but what I want you to do is help me organize my thoughts and how I see us implementing it, and then give me detailed implementation plans. So then it goes off and automatically puts them into Notion. So I have now organized thoughts from a book that I've gone through. So in that way, it's a pure assistant. It's not, I'm
Yeah,
just asking AI for its opinion and I'm going to do whatever it says. I'm using it as a productivity tool to collate thoughts and stuff and build implementation plans. And I think
yeah,
what people skip, and Simon Sinek talked about this the other day, is people are, it used to be that business was all about the journey, never the destination, and everyone's jumping to results. They're not going on the process of actually learning stuff. They're just going copy and paste. And I'm obviously ad libbing what he's saying, but that was like it's still really important to read things cover to cover and understand it, not ask for a footnote from a book summary. You haven't learned anything. Do you
yeah.
know what I mean?
Well, yeah. Well, going back to what I was saying about Google AdWords, it's yes, it can do those things incredibly well, but you still need a pen and paper. You still
Yeah,
need to look at the changes. You still need to look at the impressions, the drop offs, conversion rates, and basically document them to
yeah,
then see what changes you need to make. Because you're right, AI at this stage, treat it as a tool. It's used for brainstorming, researching, and generating, like you say, drafts, business drafts, but always involve your own judgment and refine the output, is what I say, because you're using it to supplement your own abilities, not replace them, isn't it?
100%, 100%.
So, so with that, Paul, because I'm really keen, certainly with our developers, I know you've done some work with yours, um, with the request and the code review process using AI tools. Can you explain a bit further? Because I'm really keen to see what our developers could learn off what you've been doing.
Yeah, I mean, we're I'll try and give you like a 2 minute summary rather than go into detail. But like, I think we looked at the problem of actually hiring more resource, and we were like, okay, what are the bottlenecks? If we were to bring somebody in today, what doesn't work very well? And let's automate that first. And one of the big drains on airtime is called code reviews, like pull requests. So, and what we identified was a delay. So there's a delay between the pull request getting created by one developer, and then a set number of developers then having time in their busy days or the next morning to review it, go back with comments, come back, get things changed, go back, get it pushed to a staging server, and then get it, we call it internal review, but like tested, UAT tested. There's a whole, that could be sometimes 3 to 5 days, depending on the scale of the pull request. So we looked at that as a problem. And one solution in the past was, okay, we'll get another person to do pull request as well. So just increase the human input on it. And then what happened was, long story short, did a bit of research and we found this thing called CodeRabbit. CodeRabbit has access to the repository. It knows everything there is to know about the repository. It knows everything there is to know about what you're implementing. And not only does it actually check the pull request, it has different levels of comments. So it has critical things that you must address. It also has like nitpick comments, so things that you could do to improve it, to improve readability. It fully documents, even to the point of flow charts, what's changed in this pull request. So one thing is you create a pull request of the changes between scenario A, scenario B, but often the actual comments that go with it are very weak. You know, it's just a developer who's strapped for time. So it does all documentation, does all this. It can auto approve, it can reject. When you talk to it and you tell it the reasons why certain things happen, it learns. It even
Right.
comes back a bit sarcastic sometimes and it replies in GIFs and stuff. It's just bizarre. But the quality of things and the things it's found has been amazing for the cost. So, for an instance, developer changes it in one place. They have limited knowledge of the stack and they know about this one area, so they're going to change it. CodeRabbit will identify that you've changed this. Did you know in 3 other places in the code it's also referenced in this way? Do you need to look at those things? And so it's faster than human. It
Mhm.
never sleeps, never takes a day's holiday. It does it probably in 5 minutes of a pull request being opened. It's become a bit of an authority because it understands everything about the code base. It doesn't get everything right, but neither does a human.
Yeah.
And it just reduces the time to get it onto a staging server. So we've seen it go down from 3 to 5 days from the minute a developer completes a task to, I would say, within the hour, because 9 times out of 10, when a second developer is going on, they're instead reading the CodeRabbit review and they're looking to see if that's accurate as well as looking at the code. So it's massively, and that's just one example of people looking through the lens of AI and going, what's the problem with this process? How can we improve it?
So you don't see any issues with sharing your code with AI? I mean, I know that could be another conversation to spark off, but
Yeah, I
obviously
think,
for us, when we've built 18 years of a software application called AdLister, which is for everyone out there, it's a listing solution that allows customers to list products onto multiple channels: eBay, Amazon, Etsy, and TikTok. So it's our holy grail of software.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
If we're going to allow CodeRabbit or AI tools to jump into it, do you see any issues there, or do you
I
think it's
think you've
just
got
we
to
have
be,
to all embrace
yeah,
it?
I think it's a really good point. I think you've definitely got to read the privacy thing of what they do with the data, because the stuff that we use has got, it's got declarations, everything, that it never goes outside our GitHub, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
it's never stored on other servers. It's never all this sort of stuff. It's a direct interface with GitHub. But the other thing is, I do look at it as a bit of a Pandora's box is opened and you have to use it to
Well,
remain
yeah.
competitive. Like people are going to be able to do things in software that are the most exciting, opportunity filled things that we never ever thought possible. And I think, or we could do it the old way. And I just think it's such a transformational period of time that we're in. We're very lucky to be in this period of time. But I think these early days, um, I can't see us going back. It just doesn't make sense.
I think you're right. I think it's a case of you've all got to jump in, haven't you? We can't have these what if kind of
Yeah.
thoughts really, because if we do, we're going to be left behind.
And the other
So,
thing is, if you believe in the process of, say, CodeRabbit, but you don't want to use it because of privacy controls, then it's possible to build your own CodeRabbit. Like, because of what's available with AI and APIs and what you can do with GitHub or whatever code repository software you use, if the principle is sound, but the implementation is a problem, you can build your own. So there's a lot of people I know who are doing stuff in automation, who are building their own self-hosted stuff and they're building their own LLMs and they're doing their own MCP interfaces and stuff, and they want to keep it all in their private cloud. So that is possible too. But
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
tend to use SaaS more than anything else to make it as easy to implement.
Yeah. Well, this is getting very good. If you're enjoying this so far, everyone, and want to stay ahead of the curve, hit follow or subscribe below. We drop new episodes every week showing exactly what we're testing and learning in real time. So I want to kind of come to this little bit now about testing automation and bugs, because again, I know you've had some pain points here. I certainly have pain
Yeah,
points
yeah.
here. But I'd like to know how you're harnessing AI, Paul, in this way to help in the testing, the automation, and we just mentioned a bit about the bugs, haven't we? But
Yeah, sure. I mean, again, just a quick example. So I've got to do a declaration here. This is not me. This is my team. Does that make sense? I'm not a
yeah,
brainy person. So we have a retro every fortnight, and often people come to the table with things that they found that would be of use to the company. And one of these things was MCPs. I'd never heard of it. I'll be totally honest. And then Kurt, one of our developers, did a talk on it to the rest of the team to bring us up to speed. And fundamentally, there's a way now that, in the same way with like hard coded APIs, you could go and get data, you can now get LLMs talking to each other and you can hook your data into it. So, really,
LLM. What is that? Just to explain to the audience.
what an MCP? Oh, that's the
LLM.
large language model. So, that's just what AI is built on, isn't it?
Yeah,
Largely, it's
yeah.
about language. So, basically, with these MCPs, think of it like an API. So what we're able to do is we use Freshdesk. So a ticket comes in and it has a problem. We can send that to a large language model related to that project. At the same time, that project can have understanding of the code base, and it can also connect to our live bug tracking system, which is Sentry. So one ticket can kick off a deep exploration and investigation into these are problems. Have we had anything like this before? Here's the code base. Where do you think this exists? But also with Sentry, it'll tell you the line of code. It'll tell you what the environment was, when it was executed, how many times it's happened. And what we can get it to is an auto populated pull request for a fix with Code Rabbit then reviewing it.
Wow.
So that's where it can go. So I think we're entering a dawn of genuinely, which has always never been said in software, but if you think optimistically in future, you could have feasibly bug-free software for the first time in history, because yes, bugs will occur, but they could get patched as quickly as they occur. And that's the thing. And then if you think about it, going back to leveling up the game of the developer, the developer's job is to use these tools to understand what's going on and the changes requested, and then from an editorial process to oversee the change and to commit it. You could get it auto committing, which is a scary future, but I think the role of the developer is to be the curator and to ultimately go, yes, I agree with that, because it doesn't always get it right. But again, we're only 2 years in from like the public
Yeah,
release.
because that goes back to what we said at the start, wasn't it? We're only 2 years in, and I technically, I suppose, are you using certain chat GPTs, because you talked about poetry and grammar and emails? Surely you don't want to use that AI that you're using there for that kind of what you're
Yeah,
doing in
we
that
use
environment.
different things.
Using
So
different,
like,
yeah,
yeah,
right,
so and the guys have got in their IDEs that I think it's Claude, and they've got an MCP, and basically it sits inside. So
yeah,
everyone's experience of chat at the moment or whatever you use is like you sit in its own window, don't you? And it has some basic integrations. The next phase of AI that's happening right now is like AI agents, where it will go off outside of that environment and it'll go and do things. Well, in the world of software dev, you run your IDE, whatever you want to use, and you can have it where the AI is sat inside. And instead of just writing the code, you talk to it about what you want to do.
yeah.
So you tell it in that way. You're prompting it to say, "This is what I'm planning to do. What are the risks? What's the opportunity here?" Sort of thing.
So getting quite excited by this. So if we're doing, so we're talking about AdLister version
Yeah,
2, okay? So you would say get a login purely for, let's say Claude login or Copilot login purely for AdLister. So you wouldn't talk about anything outside of that. So you wouldn't talk about any other software project you're looking at any of the bespoke, just purely ad lister, so it learns.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So like if you imagine we have multiple projects on the go at once, and when the guys open their codex or whatever they're using, or like their IDE, for the all intents and purposes, that Claude MCP data driven thing knows only about that project. And why would you want it to know about anything else unless it was
absolutely,
interconnected?
because it's learning. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think that's where, again, retro, it was raised. We should do this with IDEs. And we looked at different things. We looked at source graph. We looked at like Codex has come out on chat now. We looked at different tools in
yeah.
GitHub and stuff. And yeah, what we did want to do was preserve that. We wanted it all to be local, if that makes sense, and in control by us. So what we're working with is a stitched together version that works for our developers. Does that make sense? So that isn't a SaaS product. That's something that we've created to connect different LLMs and different things together. And when
Brilliant.
you give it data, it's scary, because any part to software is you've got the code, but the second thing is you've got the database, haven't you? So when you talk about, when I spoke earlier about fresh desk tickets coming in, when it can actually look at the database and query data, it is insane. It's absolutely amazing what it can discover. So yeah, that's probably my 2 pence on it.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Well, I think that's a wrap for today, Paul. I think
Yeah, I
we
agree.
could easily talk more, but I think we covered everything. Well, certainly we talked a lot about AI and where we're sort of going with it. I know we haven't explored. I wanted to explore that AI brain, so let's have that for the next
Yeah. Well, we've got
podcast.
loads to go through, haven't we? And the plan for this is it's just an episode of many, isn't it? And I
Absolutely.
won't talk so much next time. That's my
No,
promise to you, Sean.
I think you've definitely got more skills in this area than I have. So, if anything has resonated with you guys out there, or has given you an idea, we'd love to hear it. Drop us a message or connect with us on LinkedIn, and you can find show notes and links to all the tools we mentioned in this episode description. So, stay tuned, and let's see you next time.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.